All right, welcome everyone to this video distance learning lesson provided by myself, Mr. Beek. It's great to see you guys. And I got to be honest with you, this is my first time ever recording a video lesson like this where there's no people in the room, and so it feels kind of weird, but I'm just going to give it a go, so bear with me if I stumble through some things like that. But all right, so in general, we're going to start our lessons with this slide that just has what we're doing. And so today we're solving systems of linear equations by substitution, okay? And so our I can statement is that you can do just that, solve systems by substitution, okay? We'll talk about what that is in a second or two, but just so you know, every single thing that we do has important mathematical standards for the Minnesota State Math Standards, and so those are a couple ones that we're going to be doing in today's lesson, all right? The goal is to rate yourself, give yourself a learning scale goal, and it's always to try to get to a 3 or a 4, right? And that would mean where you understand what you're doing, you can explain it to other people, and you have no problem with it, right? If you're making mistakes on like every other problem, you know, you're at like a 2 or possibly a 1, and so that just means it's a warning sign, hey, you need some more help, right? And it just means maybe you don't know it yet, but you know, let's keep practicing, keep asking questions, and you'll get to that 3 or 4 range. That's the goal. Okay? Now you might be like, Mr. Beek, 5.2, why aren't we doing 5.1? That's an excellent question. I'm sure you guys are thinking of that. Well, 5.1 was on graphing, and so I kind of made just the executive decision to skip that one. Because officially we would have done it for a day or two, and then I would have said, hey, here's 2 easier, better ways, and we're going to do those all the time anyways. So that's what we're doing. We're actually just going to skip over graphing systems. Okay? Now let me explain it real quick, because that might help you make sense of what we will be talking about for the next couple sections. Okay? Slope-intercept form. If you remember that from way back when, it's y equals mx plus b, right? Where your b is the y-intercept and your m is your slope. And that's just how steep your line is, how fast it goes up or down, okay? And so we can graph stuff really easy in that form. Let me just make up a couple problems. Oops. Let's erase that. Let me just make up a couple problems and just show you how easy this first section that we're skipping is, okay? Let's say I had y equals, let's go 2x plus 5. How I would graph that was I would be starting at my 5. That's my y-intercept. That means that the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it crosses 5 right there. That's my starting point via that point. And then my slope is 2 over 1. So that means up 2, 1, 2, and over 1. Up 1, 2, and over 1. Or we could go down 2 to the left 1. Down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1, right? And we get a real good idea of what our line looks like just from those easy points, okay? Well, what a system is, there I just graphed the line. A system is 2 equations, or 3 equations, or 17 equations, right? So let's say I had another one, and it looked like this. Y equals, let's just go negative 4x minus 7. Okay, well if we had to graph that one, we'd start down at negative 7. And from there we'd go down 4 and over 1. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like I'm off the chart, but it's going to look something like that. So let me, to be accurate, go up 4 to the left 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left 1. And you can find really easy what that line looks like too. Okay? Do you notice anything important about those 2 lines that I just drew? They happen to cross at a certain point. That is our answer. That's the system of the equation. And we're going to rewrite it as a coordinate. Okay? What is that coordinate? The coordinate is negative 2 in the x direction, and then up 1. That right there is what we're going to try to solve today. We're going to just try to solve it without graphing it. Okay? So I just want to quick explain what 5.1 was, and we'd be looking for this point here. So what happens if I got rid of all that stuff, all the pictures of the graph, and I just gave you this? Y equals 3x plus 18, y equals 4x minus 2. Joel Booty, can you tell me where those points cross at? Yeah, I have no clue, right? So we could graph it, but I don't know, just looking at that number, no thanks, right? Just looking at those, they look no fun to graph, right? And so we're going to do our new way, which is called substitution, okay? And that's why we like math, because we have a lot of shortcuts. Us mathematicians, we generally are kind of lazy, and we're like, hey, is there a faster and easier way that we can attack this problem? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do substitution, all right? So if you followed along and if you printed out some notes, let's just skip to this. This is our notes. Day 1, we're going to spend 2 days in this section. Today we're going to have the first kind of easier one, and then tomorrow we'll add one additional step that makes it a little bit trickier, but it's not a big deal. You guys can get this done. All right? So when you think of substitution, what do you think of? I think of like substitute teacher or something like that, right? I don't think math formulas and systems of equations, but I think substitute teacher. If we have that mindset, it's the exact same thing. A substitute teacher would come and take place of my, me as a teacher or something like that, right? So the goal is to find where there's one variable all alone. And today, all the problems will have it. Tomorrow, they will not be all the same. So if we look at letter A, do you see one where there's a one variable all by itself? Electra, if you're looking hard, I see it right here. Y. Y is all by itself. So that's what we're looking for. All right? On letter B, do you see one that's all by itself? Yes, this one right here. See how it's x equals, and this one is y equals. How about letter C? This guy right there. It's a 1y. That one's all by itself. So those are the things that we're kind of looking to stand out, because those will make these problems super easy. All right? So we're going to go back and solve letter A. Just don't be scared. We're not going to solve all these problems. I'm just going to kind of pick a few and we'll do those. All right? So anyways, now that we've identified this one variable all by itself, the 1y, I'm going to substitute that in for the y of the second part. Okay? So when I do that, I rewrite this second equation. And here's how I'm going to write it. 6x minus 5. And instead of writing y, I'm just going to put a big set of parentheses equals negative 19. Okay? And instead of writing y there, I'm going to write this negative 2x minus 9. All right? Good, Dorbor. That making sense to you? I hope so, all right? So from now we got, the reason we did that is, look, we just have an x here and an x there. There's not two variables. We eliminated one variable. We wiped it out. And so that's how we solve an equation, okay? So be careful on this stuff. Now it's just solving an equation, but we have this thing, and it's times that thing, and so we're going to have to use distributing. And so what's going to happen is that negative 5 is going to distribute out to everything else. It's going to look like this. 6x plus 10x plus 45 equals negative 19. All right? One step at a time makes it a little bit easier. Now we're combining like terms. This will probably always happen with these ones. That's 16x plus 45 equals negative 19. All right? Caleb Ludwig, what do we do next? Minus the 45? Divide by the 16? Yes, we do. All right, so that's going to give me 16x equals, that's negative 64. And when we divide by 16, we're going to get a cool negative 4. Okay? Now you might be tempted to just stop there. That was a lot of work, but that's only half the answer. Unfortunately, we're trying to find the coordinate that those two lines cross at. And right now, we only have the x coordinate. We need the y coordinate. So the x is going to be -4. I like to just come out to the side here and just write that down so I don't forget. I got to write it as a coordinate. But here's the nice thing. I like to be organized with this. And since I had this thing circled up at the top, and I got this circled right here, I'm going to connect those two circles. I'm going to plug this x is -4 in for that x right way up there, and just do the last little problem. Okay? So that top equation says y equals -2x minus 9. Correct? Well, -2x, x is -4. So that gives me y equals 8 minus 9, which that means y is -1. Okay? This right here is my answer. Without graphing it, we just outsmarted all this math stuff and did it in our head with just algebra. Kind of cool. All right? So, hopefully those are making a little bit more sense to you. That's the first problem. We're going to do a few more. For those of you that had me last trimester, you know I'm really flexible and I just kind of jump around and, do a few problems until you think you got it. So I'm just going to skip down. Summer Perkins, if you had a choice, D, E, or F, what would you go with? You're going with letter D? All right, let's do it. Okay? So first question. Do you have a variable that's all by itself? And Summer, if you're looking, you should see, hey, y is all by itself. So I'm going to take that y and plug it in for that y. Okay? Zach Moll, hopefully this is kind of looking familiar to you. We're going to rewrite this bottom equation now. We're going to do 3x plus 5x equals -1. You might be saying to yourself, Mr. Beek, you said x and you didn't write it down. Or I should have said y actually, but because I'm not writing down y, I'm going to be writing down -x plus 3, because that's what y is. Now we just do some distributing, and we solve for x, and we're halfway there. This is going to give me -3x plus 9 plus 5x minus 1. I always look to simplify and combine like terms. That's going to give me 2x plus 9. Oh, this should say equals -1. I apologize about that. So when we minus this 9, we're going to get 2x equals -10. And therefore, x is going to be -5. Okay? Challenge you, don't stop there. That's not the answer. That's what x is. I want to find the coordinate. Okay? So Keegan, Schreider, bummer about those NBA season being canceled or at least postponed. I was really bummed. I wanted to see those Rockets in the playoffs against the Clippers. But anyway, sorry, I'm off task. Keegan, where would we put this x? You're right, we plug it in for that one way up there. All right, so we're going to have y equals -x plus 3. But x was, of course, -5. Okay? Hopefully we're comfortable with these. -5 is really just a regular 5 plus 3. So I get y equals 8. Okay? And that's my y answer up there. Okay? So using just our brains and just using math, we can find out where those two lines cross, what point. Okay? I'm glad I didn't have to graph those because that's kind of difficult, and I don't know. Sometimes what happens if it's not whole numbers or integers, right? What happens if it's a weird fraction or decimal? Well, substitution can get us that answer. Okay? So moving on to the back of the notes. It says solving systems by substitution, special cases. All right? What special cases mean is there's either no solution, which would mean, hey, these two lines, they're just never going to cross. Means there's no solution, right? Or what we call is infinitely many solutions. What that means is the lines are exactly the same. The first line and the second line are like right on top of each other, and so every point in the red line is the same point in the green line. So we solve them the same way, and you just, stuff falls apart and you find out your answer, all right? So I'm going to plow through these real quick. So Lily, if you're taking a look at this, you see the x all by itself. I'm going to just plug x in for that, and it gives me 3x minus 6y equals 6. Instead of writing x, I'm going to write 2y minus 4. I'm going to distribute. And when I combine like terms, hey, 6y and minus 6y cancel, and I'm left with negative 12 equals 6. Does that make any sense? Not to me, right? And so that means that's going to be a no solution. And that's your answer. Those ones you kind of stop halfway, right? Now, if I was a betting man, I would guess that IMS is going to be letter B, just to show you the quick math steps so you see one more problem. If I plug in y, I'm going to get x minus 3 times y equals negative 3. When I plug in 1/3 x plus 1, people might start freaking out. Oh, it's a fraction, Mr. Beak, those are tough. Just take a calculator, it's no problem. So we're going to get those. We're going to get x. This actually ends up being minus 1x, and this ends up being minus 3 equals negative 3. Well, guess what? 1x minus 1x cancels, and you get negative 3 equals negative 3. All right? Awesome. What is that true? Yeah. So it's IMS, since we have a true case. All right? So nothing extra really needed for those. Those ones kind of fall apart. All right? Cody Norton, that sound good to you? Would you be okay with me ending the lesson and you have a good understanding? All right, we're going to call it a day then. So feel free to check out the homework problems that I listed next to this. That's really ultimately what you want to do, right? You're going to take these and solve, okay? So it looks like there's 6 questions there. And there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 questions, all right? That's a lot. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Alanis, if you're kind of freaking out, you're like, 14 problems? These take a long time. They do. I mean, I'm talking for 15 minutes right now, and I've only done a couple problems, right? So my I guess, instruction here is do as many as you need to until you feel comfortable. I'm not going to collect this homework assignment, but you're going to be responsible for the knowledge of it, right? And so when we take a quiz at the end of the week on this section, if you didn't put in the practice, you're going to probably not do very well, right? If you practice and you got it down, you're going to do awesome, okay? So that would be my suggestion. I would attempt at least 5 of them, so I'm going to, if you need any direction, do 1 through 5, right? And then you have a couple in the bag, right? So I'm gonna stop talking here, but just real quick. Number 1, hey, plug that in for y. Sweet. Number 2, plug that in for x. Right? Number 3, y is on the bottom. That doesn't matter. You plug it in for y. Number 4, take that and plug that in for y. Right? And so you'll find that they're all kind of similar. Every problem is going to fall into place. So, all right. Well, hey. I hope that lesson went well for you. This is, like I said, my very first time ever talking like this. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and take care. Stay safe. Bye.